Okay, everybody, welcome to the second annual More Joy During the Holidays. I'm Jen Anderson. Welcome here to Career Coach Jen. It is my pleasure and my joy to be in a space where I can make a difference for people in their careers, and I love it. And I started doing this More Joy During the Holidays webinar because I really felt like for working Christian moms, like there's just kind of like all this crazy, right, that happens around the holidays. And as I was talking to different friends who, again, are in the working mom category, they're just like losing it, right? Like they're totally just like, this is nuts. Life is crazy. I can't handle this anymore. What am I doing? I can't handle it anymore. And so, sorry, chapstick a lover over here, right? Anyhow, so I just thought, you know what, let's talk about what we can do to have more joy during our holidays. And so ironically, here's something that's really funny about this. So when I first did this in 2018, it was one of those things where I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I love it. And, the opportunity to put this out in the world and from like a marketing standpoint, have people sign up for my email list and, all these things. Right. And so I did all of that. And then in 2019, for those of you who don't know, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. In September, November 1st, I had 9 inches of my colon removed. And then on January 3rd is when I started chemo. 6 months of chemo for the colon cancer. By the way, things are looking really good. It's still 4 more years before they'll determine whether or not the cancer is gone. But for now, things are looking really good, which is great. We'll go with that, right? And by the way, when you have colon cancer and do chemo, you usually don't lose your hair. So a lot of people say, like, wow, it's amazing you didn't lose your hair. I'm like, well, it's because it's a different chemotherapy than what typically happens. Like if you see women who have breast cancer and they do lose all of their hair. And so anyhow, I'm just putting that out there because I always get that question, like, you did chemo for 6 months, but you didn't lose your hair. And I'm like, actually I lost about a third of my hair, but I have a lot of hair. So nonetheless, let's just set that aside for a second. The point is that in 2019, I did not do this More Joy During the Holidays webinar because I was recuperating from having 9 inches of my colon removed and dealing with all of the mental stuff of gearing myself up to embrace chemotherapy. And so I just thought, you know what, I need to get to what's essential and narrow down what are the key things that I really want to do, what's going to bring me joy. And the thought of hosting a webinar just kind of spun me out. And I thought that is completely incongruent with what I'm talking about here in this webinar. So no, I'm not going to do the joy in the More Joy During the Holidays webinar in 2019, but here we are in 2020 and been looking forward to doing this for months. And so I'm so glad to be here. And so here's kind of a funny little thing about what's going on is that normally in hosting these kind of webinars, it would be normal for me to send out or have people sign up for it. They get the Zoom link, they come and join that, right? And then that adds more people to my email list, etc. And I was just like, this feels like pressuring and difficult and challenging, like for me, right? I'm like, this isn't adding to my joy. I don't want it. What do I really want to do is I want to get this message out in a very organic way and love on people and just let you know that you can have more joy during your holidays. You absolutely can. And so I thought, you know what? I'm scrapping the whole thing as far as creating the sales page and having people sign up for whatever, to get the Zoom link, all this kind. I was like, no, time out. I'm just going to do Zoom and I'm going to connect it to the Facebook page, the Career Coach Jen Facebook page, and just let it fly and just let it go. And so that's what's happening. So I'm so glad that you're here with me today. I'm so glad that you're taking some time to do this for yourself. So what I would like for all of you to know is that I do have some slides. I've got some stuff that I'm going to share with you. So I'm going to get into it, but I want you to know that if you have questions, please on the Facebook page, like just post in your questions. If you're watching this live, or if you're coming back and you're watching this later, post your questions and contribute. And so one thing I would love to know is, why are you here? Like, what's going on that you're looking for more joy during the holidays. So just put that question out there and just let's let this just come together and participate in the conversation. And so let's get into it. And speaking of more joy in the holidays, yes, I had to go into my Christmas supplies and dig these babies out. So I can't help myself. I love little hat things like this. Like, look at this. Are you kidding me? I mean, come on. This is rad. This is more joy. All right. So let's get this party started. I am going to pull up some slides here. It just really helps me to anchor my thoughts when I'm chatting with you. So let's go ahead and pull this up here. So more joy during the holidays. So one thing I love about joy and an acronym for joy is Jesus, others, and yourself. And so the whole thought of having more joy during the holidays, to me, it's like the idea of joy, like that doesn't have to just be during the holidays, right? It can be absolutely throughout the course of the year, as far as focusing on Jesus, focusing on others, and focusing on yourself, and having that love for other people. I think that's really a big, huge opportunity to bring ourselves grounded back to this space of true love for Christ, for other people, and for ourselves. And I mean, that's the great commandment, right? Is that we love others as we love ourselves. So if we're not loving ourselves, and here we are, these working moms, I think sometimes we're just like, I'm calling it quits. I'm canceling the holidays, right? Like, I hate this. There's so much to do. There's so many expectations. This is way too hard. It's like, if you're in that space, and it's really hard to show forth love to other people, and then also to keep yourself grounded in that love of Christ. And so just keep that in mind as we're talking about some of these things here about having joy during the holidays. So let's see here. And then just really quick from a housekeeping standpoint, I hope that whomever is watching this, that you're giving yourself a chance to be here and to be present for this conversation. And so just some thoughts there. And I would encourage you to have a little notebook or something on hand so you can jot down some thoughts that might be coming to you. One great way to do that is grab your little journal, planner, notebook, whatever it is that you have. This is something I do all the time. I just go right down the middle of the page. I'm going to do it on mine. I'm going to show you what that looks like. And just do a line right down the middle of the page. Okay. And then the thoughts and things that you're hearing from me, write them on the left, and on the right, leave the space for the Spirit, for the things that the Spirit's whispering to your heart, that you can jot those things down. And so maybe about like the different things I'm going to be talking about, how you can apply it to your life. Or just if you have this thought of like, oh, I need to check on such and such thing, right? Like jot it down. Like, for example, I asked my husband to order a sweet potato pie from this guy that makes amazing pies. His name is James. And so it's like, oh, I need to double check to make sure he's got that done, because it's like my husband's main assignment for Thanksgiving is to make sure we have that sweet potato pie. So if you have little things like that pop up, just jot it down. Like, instead of trying to hold it in your head. And that's another way that I think that we just add to the crazy, is we try to hold on to everything. So instead, just enjoy what's going on. Write down on the left the little nuggets and things you're picking up for what am I talking about, and then on the right, write down the little things that you're feeling prompted to do. Okay. So I have a gift for you guys. So one thing that I love to do is I have a really hard time with it, actually. I love giving gifts to people. Oh, like for the women that are in my mastermind right now, it was really hard to not like buy all sorts of stuff. When I sent it to them, I have this inspiration box that I sent them stuff. And I was like, okay, I have got to hold back, because there's a certain point where I could overspend what my revenue is from the experience. And so, but I have a digital gift for you that is a planner that this is the Holiday Joy Planner for working moms. And so I love having this available for you guys. And so I'm going to be sending this to you. What you need to do, because since nobody emailed or signed up right for this particular webinar, is you're going to need to message me your email address so that I can send this to you. And so there's no like strings attached or anything like that. So just make sure that you DM me or somehow that you get in touch to let me know. And so that this way I can email this document to you. It's a really beautiful, lovely PDF. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but it has really cool things in there that are going to help you so that you can enjoy your holidays a lot more too. So anyhow, so keep that in mind as we're going through here. So Here's my spiritual thought for you. So my favorite scripture of all time is Psalm 46:10. And in fact, I just had a gal on my podcast yesterday, and her name's Pamela Henry, and she's awesome. She has these success choice planners that are beautiful. But she also shared that this was her favorite scripture too. And so I love the scripture, this whole idea of being still and know that I'm God. And the reason why this resonates with me is because this scripture has showed up again and again and again in my life. And if you've got a scripture that keeps showing up, like, pay attention, there's like probably a really good juicy message in there from God to help you in your life. So, so enjoy it, just embrace it, right, for what it is. But the idea of stillness, I think, is something that is really a profound thing that we can add to our holidays. And the stillness might look like this for you, right? It might be quietly sitting on the couch, maybe after the kids have gone to bed or something. You've got your lovely cup of cocoa or hot cider or whatever it is, right? And just chill out. Or maybe the stillness is breaking away from the household and going somewhere where you can get away. And I included this picture purposefully because I think sometimes for those of us that are busy with work stuff, like getting away and going to like the mountains or going somewhere where there's a lake or something like that is really hard to make that happen. But is there somewhere just in your area, in your city, in your town, your community, where you can go just to feel like you're getting away a little bit and have some perspective? And then just allowing that quietness to happen, and in the stillness, man, it can make a huge difference for you in just seeking to have those opportunities. So here's the thing though, is that if you don't schedule it, it's not going to happen, right? It just totally just doesn't happen. So when you're thinking about as somebody who is working, to me, a foundational thing I always talk to people about in my coaching is your personal brand. Like, you need to know what your personal brand is, because then it's going to show up in all the different areas of your life. And if you don't know what your personal brand is, you need to get this nailed down. If you don't know what that is, you need to get in touch with me and we can chat more about that. But your personal brand should be some kind of a short statement that really explains and exudes who you are. Now, it's nothing to do with what your job is, right? So I'm a career coach, but I'm not, that's not my brand, right? That's my name of my business is Career Coach Jen. I do coaching, but I also do other things as well, right? So in my neighborhood, I help out with emergency preparedness. I do stuff with my husband in our backyard. We are backyard homesteaders, right? Like, that stuff has nothing to do with me being a career coach, but my brand of who I am and how I show up, it totally shows up in all those areas. So I'll just to kind of give you just a very brief example. My brand is to be an activator. So using the example of our backyard homestead, earlier this year, in fact, while I was dealing with chemo, my husband was home because of COVID. We were in the yard talking about stuff. And I love these earrings from Salted Avenue, but I'm like messing around with them. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm not used to wearing big, gorgeous earrings. Aren't these fun? I had to wear them, right? Because we're talking about joy. And so anyhow, my husband and I, we're in the backyard. It was a lovely spring day, and we were just talking about what is it that we want to do with our yard and being good stewards of our land. And I told my husband, I said, you know what? I'm like, I think we need to really seriously get on the bandwagon around planting our own garden and making this happen. When we bought this house, there was no vegetable garden here. And so we're like, okay, what is this going to look like? And so that's what happens, is that I have this like vision, this idea, and I communicate about it and I activate the people in my life, and we get going and stuff happens. And so that turned into a whole slew of different things, but then it also turned into like, well, if we're going to convert our very traditional suburban yard, we have like a 1/4 acre lot. If we're going to convert that over to a backyard homestead, let's do a YouTube channel about it. And so we have the Anderson Backyard Homestead, and it's really fun to just share little things about what's going on and, what we're doing to change our yard and whatnot. And so that's an example of activator, right? Like, I get things going. It doesn't mean I'm doing everything. I'm not the one that's been tearing out trees. In fact, we just had another tree cut down in our yard because we're getting ready to level this space to put in some garden boxes. And so I didn't actually do it. My husband's the one who called around and got the bids and then coordinated for the person to come here and cut down the tree. So as an activator, that's my brand. Like I'm really good at helping people see the vision and painting the picture and getting them going. And that's probably what's happening for you right now too, is you're starting to see for yourself like, oh yeah, like what is my brand? How do I want to have that show up? So I know this is who I am. This is how I show up in life. And I'm totally comfortable being in that space. Ladies, I want you to have that for yourself too, is to be comfortable in that space of this is my brand. This is who I am. Be unabashed about it and live to that and go for it. Right. And it's amazing what God will do with you when you're really zeroed in on who you are and what it is that you want to be. So know your personal brand. That's going to really help you to then know how is it that you want to show up during the holidays. So right now with the pandemic and a lot of the physical distancing and stuff like that, the things that I would normally be pushing for, I'm not doing that stuff this year, because I'm not going to be putting a bunch of people at risk of gathering. Right. And so those things where I used to coordinate and get those things started and always have a committee to help me execute on it, but I get it started, right? Again, activator. I'm not doing that stuff, but I'm activating people in other ways. So you figure out what works for you when you know what your brand is, and it's going to help you to know how you want to show up. So keep your personal brand in mind when it comes to how you want to enjoy your holidays more. And then every day, I do recommend that you have a morning spiritual routine. I'm a big fan of starting your day with scriptures and prayer. So make sure that you do that for yourself. And in doing so, it'll keep you grounded and focused in on Jesus and, what is God communicating to you? And as you carry those messages from the Lord in your heart, it can make a big difference on how you want to be showing up during the holidays. That's going to bring you more joy. And even check in with God and just say, hey, what is it that I really need to be focusing on during this holiday season? What are the key things that you want me to be focusing on, God? And he will tell you. But if you don't make time for having a morning spiritual routine, then it is not going to happen, right? So make the time for that regular spiritual routine. When I first started doing this years ago, I had to literally put it on my calendar. And I put it on my calendar with a reminder the night before, because sometimes I won't look at my phone right when I wake up. And so I was like, oh yeah, I need to remind myself that tomorrow morning I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and I'm going to make sure that I have my morning spiritual routine before the busy of the day, before clients need me, before family needs me, before whatever it is. I need to check in with God and get that good word in my heart. So doing that can totally help you to have more joy during the holidays. And you might be thinking, seriously, Jen, like there's too much that's going on in my life. And now you want me to add scripture study? Like, come on. Well, here's the thing. If you're going to put something on your schedule, the only thing I'm going to recommend that you're doing with this is that it's something that's going to keep you grounded and in that spiritual stuff that's going to help you enjoy your holidays more. So now might be a wonderful time to start getting into this habit. And I dare say that if you do it every day through the rest of the year, you're going to love it so much. You're not going to want to stop doing it after the first of the year. So it's a beautiful thing. And it makes an enormous difference because it fills your tank with really good, juicy, like, all right, I've got good word. I'm feeling the vibe. God loves me. I know he loves me. And now I can go and do. And that for me takes the edge off of all of the crazy that happens on all of the other opportunities throughout the day. So enjoy those morning spiritual routines because or set up your routine and enjoy that time because it will make a big difference for you as far as what does God want you to be doing. So take a look at that. Okay. And then boundaries. So you know how to have more joy during the holidays? Establish boundaries. There is a fantastic book about boundaries. I'm just going to pop into my Audible real quick here. I can't remember the name of it. But one of my good friends, Becky, told me about it, and I love it. You would think that I would know the name of the book. Okay, so there's boundaries in dating, boundaries with kids, boundaries in marriage, boundaries for leaders, etc. And Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend are the authors of these books, and they are so good. And so again, I'm not trying to tell you like, oh, now you've got all this extra book and all this, like, but if you know what you're about, like if you know what it is, what you're trying to accomplish, and again, the personal brand is really helpful for you on that. then you're going to know what you're going to say yes to, what you're going to say no to. But having those clear boundaries is going to help you so that you don't take on a bunch of additional stuff during the holidays that maybe you just really just don't want to do, right? And so, so be clear about that. Not only, and it's got to start with yourself, right? You have to be clear with yourself, and then you can be clear with other people. And then with time blocking, I'm a big fan of time blocking to make sure that you've got key times designated to get things done. When it comes to the holidays and we add in extra things to our schedule, then I feel like it's even more imperative that we have time blocking so that we can do things like blocking. And this is just a quick little image of what maybe time blocking might look like. But you set aside the time so that you know that this is what you're focusing on. And then separately from that, then you can look at this and say, okay, now what are the things that I want to add to my schedule? Okay, well, our family always likes to go look at the Christmas lights at the town park or something like that. Okay, well, when are you going to do that? And so making sure that you put these things in a schedule is going to make a big difference for you. But what I love about the time blocking is it allows you to zero in and focus on what is it I'm trying to get done with this stuff right now. And so one thing that you could look at for yourself is to say, okay, I want to make sure that there's some presents that I'm buying, or maybe there are Christmas cards that you want to mail, or, you know, whatever the things are that happen during that Christmas time. And so then you could add that time block and say, okay, that's when I'm going to get that done. Because if you think like, well, maybe I can just squeeze it in on my lunch hour, or maybe I'll get out of work early and, you know, just see if I can get some shopping done or something like that. Like that's fine. But if you don't plan for it, work will totally sneak into that time that you've tried to set aside to go do some of that Christmas shopping without your kids in tow, right? And so you've got to put it on your calendar. You need to have that stuff blocked out so that you are not in a situation where you get to the 11th hour and you're like, oh, great. Now it's 11 o'clock, it's Christmas Eve, and I've got to go do a run over to Target to buy last minute presents. Like, don't put yourself in that situation, because it's gonna just suck all the joy out of what you're trying to do with the holidays. So block it out and put that time on there. But if you first start with, okay, what are the key things I need to do as far as like my work schedule? What do I need to do for like if there's any projects that you're working on, or whatever, like whatever it is, right? Everybody's life is so different. I couldn't even begin to give all the 17,000 gajillion examples. But the point is, start first with the important things that you need to do as far as work stuff, and then stop and look and say, okay, logically, realistically, when am I going to fit in these other Christmas or holiday related things? Okay. And then I think having girlfriend time during the holidays is really important. Right now, I know with pandemic stuff, people are trying to stay distanced, but can you have girlfriend time with like a Zoom call or something like that? And maybe when the kids go to bed or something at night, maybe you watch a chick flick together, and she's in her house and you're in your house, and you both have your lovely little, you know, hot cocoa beverage or something. You can sit there and you can chat about the movie and just watch it. And so it's almost like you got together at one of your houses and relaxed and just had a chance to you know, just zone out for a little bit and watch a chick flick, right? So whatever it is that you want to do to have that girlfriend time, do it. I know that there are people who are still gathering in different communities. I mean, it's up to you to make those decisions. I have no idea. But the point is, what is it that you want to have with that girlfriend time, right? What's the intention that you want to have from your holiday experience? How do you want that to be tied back with your girlfriends? And I miss my girlfriends. I have not been playing with them as much. And we've been respectful of the mandate to distance, and we've been respectful of each other's needs. With like one of my good friends, she has a new baby that's just a few months old. And so she's really trying to keep things distant because she doesn't want her baby to get sick, you know? So it's, and as much as we want to see each other, it's just not happening. So our girlfriend time has turned into, we'll do like a late night Zoom call together with us, or maybe we're just texting more, more of just the random phone calls, like we're making it a priority. But in doing that, it uplifts us and it brings us closer together. So if that's important to you for having more joy during the holidays, then figure out how to make that happen. And does that mean that something else needs to get dropped? I don't know. You'll have to look at your schedule. But I feel like sometimes when we're adding these experiences during the holidays, something else has to give. And that's where it goes back again to your time blocking, is like, what is it that you need to let go of so that you can allow for more time with maybe your girlfriends or your family members, or whatever that looks like. All right. And then for joy during the holidays, I think that being realistic about our budget is really important too. I think that sometimes we just kind of go crazy, just willy-nilly shopping, whatever. And then that feeling of that like mounting debt can really zap us from having joy during the holidays. And so stopping and looking at your budget and being clear about what is it that you really want to have for money that you can spend and not feel like you have to maybe whatever it is that you need to do for your budget, just set aside that, figure it out, right? So right now, here it is. It's the week before Thanksgiving. We're going to have Black Friday specials that are coming out. And so instead of just whatever comes your way on Black Friday, stop and say, okay, who are the people that I want to be buying presents for? So remember, I shared with you that I have a gift for you. So inside of the Holiday Joy Planner, there is actually a gift budget, like a budget area in there to look at who do you want to be buying gifts for and thinking about that stuff in advance. So I think that'll be really helpful for you so that it can prepare you in advance of these Black Friday specials that come out, or just any other Christmas buying that you want to do. But have your budget on target, so then you can enjoy the holidays and work within a budget that makes sense for you and for your household. And then from a food standpoint, I love this big picture because it's like all like the bad stuff, right? It's the fried chicken, it's the chocolate bonbons, it's the cookies, it's the I think those white things on the left are some kind of a cookie or something. And then you've got like a little bit of vegetables, right? You've got a couple of carrot sticks and broccoli. And it's like, okay, well, great. We're not exactly going to be losing weight if we're going to eat like this. So just think about your food stuff and what's important to you, and what is it that you want to enjoy eating. And the reason why I bring this up is because I think that sometimes food can become such this like negative thing during the holidays of like, I want to eat some of these traditional dishes that my family has and that have been part of my family because my great grandparents have been doing these recipes and it's gotten passed down through the generations. But I know if I eat all this food, I'm totally going to put on 10 extra pounds during the holidays. And then in the new year, I've got to work on the New Year's resolution of getting back to exercising and eating healthy. And so it's like, I'm not a trainer, right? A good friend of mine, Heather Dumas, she's a fantastic trainer, and she teaches people about, what you're eating and your macros and exercise and all those kinds of things. So if you feel like you're really, really, really struggling with food and you're having a hard time with it, I would say, why is that? Look at more of like the deeper why, and I think a lot of us have been stress eating through the pandemic. And I know for myself, last year at this time, I was totally stress eating. I was freaking out about the fact I have cancer, and, and I was not eating some of the healthiest ways, which is really ironic because that was pretty much vegan when they found the cancer in me. And then afterwards, I was having so many problems with nausea. I couldn't just eat green smoothies and big green salads. I was eating like pasta with butter on it, but I'm like, this tastes fantastic. And I just had to just let it go. And so that's kind of my take about having joy or food during the holidays and joy with the food is like, set aside whatever the crazy is. Like, that is not how Jesus wants you to be enjoying the holidays at all. At all. He doesn't want you to be enjoying the holidays that way. And instead, just say, okay, what is it that I really, really want to get from my experience with the holidays? When I get to the end of it, how do I want to feel? And if for you, that means you want to be like, you know what? I allowed myself to eat whatever I wanted on Thanksgiving and whatever during Christmas week. And then other than that, I was eating my normal planned out meals and big salads and okay, then great, do that. Or if you're like, you know what, if treats come, I'm just going to enjoy them. and I'm not even going to struggle. Great, do that, right? So you do you when it comes to your food stuff. My thing, only thing I'm suggesting to you is what is doing you, right? Like what is it that you want to have, and then go from there. I have a friend of mine, Becky, who whenever her family gathers, she likes to be the one who brings a big, enormous, like enormous platter of vegetables. And she'll bring hummus and different types of dips and stuff like that, because that's how she prefers to eat. And she wants to make sure that stuff shows up. I'm like, good on you. And so she makes sure that she contributes to the food based off of what she wants, right? And I think it's a great example of, hey, this is what you can do so that you can make sure that you have more joy during the holidays instead of being in that place of all sorts of mad and ticked off. You're like, great, I show up to the party and this is the spread that you see on the table. You're like, what am I going to eat? I don't even want to eat this stuff. None of this is going to make me feel good. I don't want that in my stomach. It makes my stomach feel bad. Mentally and emotionally, I'm not going to feel good. Okay, well, maybe is there something that you could have provided or brought to contribute so that it is more in alignment with what works for you. So just that's the intentionality behind it, so that you can enjoy the holidays and the food aspect of it a little bit more. And then with turning to God, I I think that when we're going through the holidays and there's all of this, like all the crazy, right? Like too much going on, feeling like there's all these expectations as far as like maybe people at church, have things that they want you to do, or stuff in the community, or feeling like I got to do like this giving tree stuff. And we needed to buy presents for everybody under the sun. And I need to teach my kids about buying presents and sending cards and receiving cards. And like, it's like all of the things, right? And then it's like, oh, great. And now I've got me and my husband, and whose house are we going to for Christmas Eve or not going because of physical distancing, and who's going to be there and who have they been exposed to? So it's like all the things, right, moms? I mean, seriously, no wonder the joy of the holiday season gets zapped from us, because there's this feeling of obligation. And this is where I would say, turn to God and ask him, when you're in those moments of frenzy and crazy, turn to him and say, please help me get through this. So this is exactly what I do when I'm having those moments where I am just about ready to lose my marbles, and I'm tapped out, right? It's just like time out, like mom is going to just lose it. And we all know that if mom's not happy, ain't nobody happy, right? Okay. So this is what I do. On my phone, I use an app called Evernote. You could, if you just have any kind of note-taking app on your phone, you can use it as well. I like Evernote because I actually have it tied to my computer as well. So different notes and things I do on my computer, I can pull it up on my phone, or things that I might type on my phone, I can look on my computer back and forth. But I have a note inside of Evernote that I call "Please God Lift Me Up," and this is literally a screenshot of it. Okay, and so when I'm having those moments again where I'm going to lose my marbles, I just type in Evernote. So what I go in the bathroom, I lock the door, and I turn on the fan. Okay. And sure, I might see my 5-year-old's little fingers sticking underneath the door, but at least the door's locked, right? Okay. Turn on the fan, and I go in there and I just do some deep breathing, but I'll pull, and I'll have my phone with me. Okay. And I'll go to Evernote and I'll just type in God, and then this note, this please, or God, please lift me up note will come up. And what I have on there is I have some different songs that mean a lot to me. So here's some songs from like Casting Crowns or Josh Wilson. And there's more to it too, but I just kind of gave you just a partial screenshot. I just didn't want, it was just too big to show everything, but I have some visuals in here, some images, some quotes, some links to some really beautiful uplifting articles. And then I love Mel Robbins and her, her countdown from 5, where she's like, when you're going to go crazy or just whatever, just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so there's like, it's this countdown, right? That kind of can get you level set. So I put all stuff. And so you might be thinking like, what's the big deal? Like, why not just go to like YouTube when you're in that moment and just listen to the song? Well, here's the thing. When I'm in that moment, I can't even think straight, right? Like I'm mad. I'm just like, oh. And so by doing this in advance, it allows me to have this stuff already organized and to pull some stuff. And I keep adding stuff to it over time. Like I'll see a really beautiful quote or meme or something like that, right? And I'll take a screenshot of it, or I'll save it and I'll put it inside of this Evernote note. And so, but by having it there in advance, when I really need it, then it's ready to go. And so I would encourage you to do this. Like this is a super, super simple thing you can do for yourself right now that you can start adding to it immediately, because we can pretty much guarantee that something's going to happen during the holidays where you feel like you're going to be losing your mind. And instead of doing everything you can to avoid it, and then it shows up and then you get all sorts of mad because you're like, I did all the things. I was reading all the scriptures every morning and I was going to bed early and I avoided sugar and I didn't do all the extra parties and I'm still over here and I'm just like mad about something. And so in that moment, if you know, like this is probably going to happen, why not just be prepared, right? Like just prepare something so it can help you in that moment. And it makes a difference. It totally makes a difference. I've been using this for years. And I know I feel like I'm like airing my dirty laundry by telling you guys this stuff that I'm like, oh, great. You know, Jen loses her mind. But sometimes I just am losing my marbles. I just am. And I need God and I need him to help lift me up. So this is the kind of stuff that can help me. And it's easy. It's simple. It's in my phone. It doesn't matter where I'm at, right? I've used this when I've been off traveling on a business meetings and stuff like that. So create that for yourself. So it's there to help you. And it's going to help to shift your mindset away from the crazy and the frenzy and come back to what's bringing you joy. And so, and you choose whatever songs work for you, right? Or whatever quotes work for you. You put on there what works for you, and then you'll have it there for yourself. So this gift is going to be emailed to you, ladies. But again, I need to get your email address. So you need to message me again. Make sure you do that so I can make sure to get these holiday joy planners out there for you. And then, so I want to see what questions that you guys have. So I am real quick going to go into Facebook. I feel like I'm breaking the rules going on Facebook or something while I'm teaching a class. I know, right? It's my thing. I'm not breaking any rules. Okay. I'm just going to see if anybody has any questions on anything in here. Like what questions? What's coming to mind? What are some things that you want to talk about? I'm getting there. Okay. So Sweet July, she posted a question. She said, I need to prioritize and find the simple joy, but how amidst the medical issues and full-time work? You know, July, I get it. I totally get it, because of being there in my own medical issues, right? With all of my cancer stuff and work and life and all those things. I would encourage you to totally check in with God and just ask him, what can I do to have more joy during the holidays? Because he knows you personally. He wants to see you have success in all areas of your life. He absolutely does. So then I would say, you know, what is the things that he knows that you directly need, right? And so, so I'll give you an example. I was praying about this even just yesterday. And I'm like, okay, what do I need to do so that I can have some more joy? And this really strong impression came to me that while I'm exercising, I need to exercise a little bit longer. And just to put it in context, I haven't been exercising for like a year because just so sick with chemo and whatever. And even though chemo finished back in June, I just was kind of regaining my strength. And so I've been exercising, but they've been like these really short, about 10-minute, maybe 15-minute little segments. We have the Peloton app. And so it's got all these different like things you can exercise to, you know, it's from like weight training or cycle or all these different things. And I was like, oh, you want me to exercise more? Like I'm trying to get something off of my schedule. But then today I thought, if I'm going to be a dutiful servant and I'm going to follow through on what God's telling me, because I'm asking the question, right? Because I personally don't like to ask the question and be like, yeah, that's okay. Thanks for the suggestion, but I'm good. I'm going to do something different. Right? So I thought, okay, Well, if God's telling me exercise longer, I'm going to do it. So I have been for the last month and a half, I've been doing 15-minute segments for the spin class because I am so out of shape. Oh my goodness. I used to be in such good shape before this whole cancer thing. It's so funny how sick and tired and out of shape I've become. And it's like, I was in better shape before and I didn't even know I had cancer. Anyhow, long story short, the point is that today I thought I'm going to do it. And so I found a spin class. It was a half an hour spin class and it kicked my booty, right? I mean, that's the whole point, right? It's spin class, but it was like, oh gosh, okay. And I was I was like, okay, I don't know if I can do this. And I was 5 minutes. I was like, oh, I was like negotiating my mind, like maybe I could just exercise and do something else. And then I just kind of got into it and got into it. And the next thing I know, it was like the last 10 minutes. I was like, oh, well, that was 20 minutes. And then it was the last 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I started feeling like, you know what? I did it. I followed through and it brought me a little bit more joy. And I don't know why God's telling me to exercise more. Maybe he needs me to get stronger physically for something else. Like I don't understand all the stuff from the beginning to the end. You know, he's Alpha and Omega. He understands it all. But that might be something for you, July, where you could ask God, what is it that he wants you to do? And then go and do it. Right. And I kind of know the dynamics of your household. You know, is there something you can delegate to somebody or whatever it is, or cut out or make some decisions, like you'll figure it out, right? But I think asking God what it is that might help you to know what you can do as far as prioritizing. And maybe there's some things that as a family you decide, you know what, we're just not going to do that this year. It's just not going to happen, or it's going to be that, but it's going to look different, right? So that just might be something that can help you out there. Okay, I'm going to see if there's any other questions that have come in. Let's see here. Okay, no other questions. Okay, but if you're watching this later, totally add questions and I will see it and I can respond to the questions there as well. So, okay, I would also like to know, what is your aha that you got from this today? Like what, out of all the little things that you've shared or that I've shared, excuse me, and maybe you've written it down, right, on your little paper and stuff, like, is there an aha? Is there something that stands out to you? That you're like, that's the thing I need to pay attention to, right? So what's your aha? In fact, let me jump back over here into Facebook real quick and see if anybody's posting their ahas. Oh, you're welcome, July. I know sometimes it can be that really simple thing of like checking in with God, right? And because and I think that's another thing about being working moms is that we get stuff done. People come to us in our workplace because we're getting it done. People come to us in our household because we get stuff done. And so we're just used to being the one who's got the answers, but maybe, you know, maybe we can turn to God and ask him for that. So anyhow, I love you, sweetheart. I'm so glad that you've asked the question. Super vulnerable of you to do that. I totally get it. Okay. Well, nobody's posted yet what their ahas are. So, but share with us here, what are those ahas? And this is a technique that I recommend that you do for yourself anytime you attend a class somewhere, anytime that you, are going to like a networking conference, or it's like an online class or something. Like when you get to the end of it, grab your piece of paper where you've been taking notes and just look at it and say, okay, out of all the stuff that's on here, what's my one aha, right? And I love this picture here of this cute girl with the little bubble over her head with the light bulb. And so it's like, what's that thing? It's like, oh, bing, that's, you know, so what's that aha for yourself, right? And then you can say, you can look at all this stuff and absorb that one thing and carry that forward with you. Because sometimes when you come to something like this and you hear about all these different ideas, you're like, I can't do all of those. But was there one thing that really, really resonated with you? Pick that and run with that. And I think that that is a little bit easier for us to absorb for sure. Okay. All righty. So as we're wrapping up here for the more joy during the holidays, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Plus, I just got to show you my fun hat. I mean, seriously, right? But I got to tell you, it was very tempting. And I'm just going to put it on. It's very tempting to wear the elf hat too. So as you're having more joy during the holidays, remember that acronym of Jesus, others, and yourself, right? And so the more you love on yourself, and or love others or love Jesus, it's going to all balance itself out. I'm sure you've heard the whole thing about when the water comes into the bay, all the ships rise, right? So just let the love in. And so, and it's not like you're just going to have more love for Jesus or just for other people or just for yourself. It's going to all rise together. And in doing so, it will help you so that you might have more joy during the holidays. Ladies, I love you. I'm cheering you on, and I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season. And please make sure to add comments or whatever in here, and let's continue the conversation. Thank you so much for joining me. Go have joy during the holidays. Many blessings to you. We'll see you around. Bye.